Hey, good day, friends. It is June 23rd, 2021. Real quick, first off, I want to say thank you to those who took time to wish me a happy birthday a couple days ago. I appreciate it. I know I missed a lot of yours birthdays as well, but it's nice to know that we think of each other, and I appreciate it. Secondly, I spent the latter part of the day, well, I finished those boards, which are up for auction, by the way. So that money's going to go to a good cause, so feel free to bid on those. But also, I spent the latter part of the afternoon in a school board meeting as we did an equity audit in our district. And if you people don't know what an equity audit is, just Google the term. And then I think it was Equity Alliance of Minnesota who conducted it. And it was a survey that was done, and from third graders on up, evidently, with some questions that were probably inappropriate for certain ages. And supposedly it's going to tell you basically how you rank and whatnot. I'm still sifting through the results. I'm not finding very much in the way of any form of scientific method used, accuracy that can result from it, or any of that. But I am a member of some groups, and so throughout Minnesota and the country, as far as what's happening in our districts and our schools. I call them mass indoctrination centers because where we're at today, folks, it's not a mystery to me. This is not a surprise where we're at, what we're arguing about. And now finally people in these groups are finally starting to go, I wasn't paying attention years ago, but I am now. And I'm starting to see what some of you guys are saying. And it's beautiful. Like, are people really waking up now, finally? Because I have more to say about this whole topic, as some of you know. In fact, during the school board meeting, this is what I brought up. Shut up, like I said, off the cuff stuff, but brought up the fact that 95% of our problems revolve around money. Yet, board, can any of you tell me what fractional reserve banking is? And they're all staring at me like, where's this dumbass going? Well, can you? Do you know how money is created? Do you know the mechanisms by which money is created? Do you know what the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 did? Do you know that the 16th Amendment actually turned us all into debt slaves? Did you know that? Just asking these questions because I took a little hiatus a few years now from talking about this stuff, because what's the point? But now finally people are getting pissed off enough to go, you know what? Yeah, we have systemic problems, but it's not race. So enter this reply to a post that someone made. I'm not going to say the name, but this lady says, critical race theorists, in their own words, are Marxists, and their ultimate goals are to create revolution to usher in their view of a just Marxist government. In their own words, some of them actually admit that they are using minorities as a means to an end. This is all true. Patrisse Cullors is the founder of BLM, is a self-described Marxist. She has a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. I mentioned that before. And she wants to tear down capitalism. I'm going to talk about why we're not living in a capitalist system in another video too, because all this stuff goes hand in hand. But when Karl Marx wrote his manifesto, he used social class as a way to divide people in order to create a revolution to usher in Marxism in Russia. Now that is also true, and I also firmly believe in Karl Marx and what he said, because the ideology there. And we have to understand something too, not to go off on another tangent, but we have to search for objective truth in things. We have to, all of us, we have to say, I don't care what my confirmation bias is, I don't care what I think I know. What exactly is the truth? And does this person speaking do they actually know more than me? And if that is right, then exchange error for truth. It's not going to kill you. And it feels pretty good, because then you get to learn something. But Karl Marx's main tenet in all of his ideology was that there was the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat. It's classism. And this is why we have the problems that we have. We don't have systemic racism problems in our country. We have systemic classism problems in our country because these guys, the Federal Reserve and the central bankers that own it, these guys make it so. And the people that laugh at people like myself don't even understand themselves how money's created. They don't understand that it's just loaned into existence backed by absolutely nothing. And that mathematically we can't even pay off our debt. You can't pay it off. And I'll explain why that is later. But she goes on to say that the Marxists now realize in America they can't use socioeconomic status because it's not static in the US, which is true. And so that's why they transferred it to skin color. something none of us can change. That's also true. Again, the ultimate goal is revolution. And if you read their writings and do a deep dive, you'll see just this. And she's spot on. And other people are getting it, and they're voicing their opinions, and people are going, like it, love it, like it. More and more people are waking, and maybe they were aware before, and maybe it's because we have such a high standard of living in the United States, and things are good, and we all have, there's a lot of people that have, I don't, but vacation homes on lakes and fifth wheels and all of this stuff. But what's that saying? Power abhors a vacuum or something like that. I don't remember, but what they're doing, and I'm not going to make the jump that the critical race theorists are controlled by the central bankers. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying I have no idea. But they're doing what Marx did, and they're trying to sow division. And the best way to do that right now is in our school districts, because if they can get control, if they win and get control of the kids' mind, 2 generations, we're going to be in starvation lines and suffering mass democide and genocide by your own government. That's what's coming, because it's happened in the past many times. It's going to happen now. We can't create a perfect society because we're not human, and socialism certainly isn't the way to go. You end this, it's a very, very, very big step to creating a sound, just and fair system. It's not the end, but it would be the best start that you can get. And so we're all arguing about all of these problems that stem from central banks and central bankers and how they run the monetary policy. And now these guys come in and go, okay, how can we exploit this? And that's exactly what's going on. They want to create, and everybody that I know in these groups is saying we want a positive outcome for everyone. I have seen zero in terms of racism in any of these groups, and some of the speakers at the board meeting the other night, they were minorities. One black lady, very eloquent, very intelligent. I'm definitely going to be getting in touch with her. She spoke and said some very wonderful things, speaking out against critical race theory and the idea of victim and oppressor and this division that's going on. We had another Muslim lady with her kid that unfortunately had some negative things happen to him in school, but kids are bullies. And how long have we been trying to stop this bullying stuff in school? You know why it doesn't work? Because government is inept. And government institutions are inept. And finally, people are going, you know what, maybe as a community we should reach out and have more say in what's going on and take control. And that's the beautiful thing for me. I told the board I was apathetic towards the board. I was apathetic towards political parties. I was apathetic towards our future. But that fact that so many people are waking up to this is giving me hope personally. Because I took a hiatus for a couple years and didn't speak about this crap because it's just annoying. But finally people are going, and even the people that don't know, because it seems to me there's 3 groups of people. People that, for the most part, know what's going on. Not that any of us can know 100%. And then there's people that think they know what's going on, which they seem to be compromising most of the school boards. And then there's people that have no idea what's going on and bless their hearts to live in rose-colored glasses their whole lives and think that, they don't have to pay attention. Wonderful. But now we're getting to the point where people are being forced to pay attention, and it's a beautiful thing because people are coming together. And even so, people are still trying to divide that. In fact, in these groups, people are saying, I'm not understanding. I came here for understanding and whatnot, but it seems like I'm on the wrong side of this. What side are you on? What side are, what? It drives me absolutely insane that we live in a culture right now, in a society where if it's not A, then it's B. If it's not Coke, it's Pepsi. And I don't comment too much on social media anymore, but if I do and I say something against Biden, well, you and your Trumpites, it's just like, no, I hate Trump too. None of them are fit to rule over me. None of them are fit to rule over my friends. And we can take care of ourselves here. As long as you take care of that there first, this whole building and the Rothschilds, and get rid of the giant single biggest Ponzi scheme that's enslaving us all, and it is. And the funny part about that, I'm going off about this on the board, and I'm looking around the room and whatnot, and I'm not making fun of anybody. And maybe people were like, what is this ass doing? Making an ass of himself talking about this stuff. What does this have to do with our kids and stuff? But I look around, And I locked eyes with that black woman that spoke, and she's like, yep. As soon as I said this is a slave system and turned around based on debt, and she's like, yep. Folks, there are some of us out there who get this, and we've been trying over the years to say, hey, what do you think money is? For every dollar that's allowed to be printed and exchanged via the bond system, and if you understand, I'm not going to get into that, between the Treasury and the Fed and whatnot, but they fractionalize it and they allow 10 times the amount to be loaned into existence via debt. So if you have $10 that's real money and $100 in fake money, how in the hell can you ever pay that back? Guess what? You can't. It's impossible. That's the systemic problem that we have, and that systemic problem is the root cause of 95% of all the shit that we argue about. It's a fact. And you can sit here and say, well, I can't do anything about it. Yes, you can. And this is how you do it at this level. But I'm gonna make every one of you aware of something. At this point in time, you have to be able to risk losing it all. And I'm serious when I say that. And I have reasons for saying that, because my opinion, and I'll probably touch on this in another video, but I have a very strong feeling that if we are to unite and not let this division and these tactics divide us, and we start taking control back of our systems, they're going to pull the pin on it all. You know, the first time they did it via the market crash of '29, and they did it through deflation. They took money out of the markets, and they took money out of the system. So while there were jobs there was plenty of jobs during the Depression, guess what? There wasn't money. There wasn't money to pay people. And there was rich people doing well back then too, don't kid yourself. So the same systemic problems that Marx talked about, which he's 100% correct on, the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, it exists today, and it's classism, and we need to get rid of it because it's caused by these guys. And so here's what I'm going to say as I end this video. If you haven't heard of critical race theory or Equity Alliance, or do a Google search on companies that are doing equity audits within schools, start putting the puzzle pieces together to who these people are, because they have a background, they have a social media presence, they're very outspoken as far as what side of an ism that they're on, and these people are Marxists, they're slash socialists, whatever you want to call them. A lot of them are. I'm not saying all of them are. I'm saying a lot of them are. And if you don't know what this is, start researching and start talking together with everybody in your communities, and start coming together and start listening to one another instead of judging them and going, oh, they sound crazy. They may sound crazy, but they might not be. You might be the crazy one. So talk about the problems, talk about solutions and moving forward in positive ways, and then how to implement whatever it is that you think needs implemented in your own districts. What are you going to do? Because we have problems here in Sartellus too, as far as kids being bullied, and then the bully gets, and then the victim gets interrogated by the staff, and basically, and this is just hearsay. I'll just throw this out right now. I have no idea if this is true, but it comes from what I would say is a very solid source for me. But basically, the district's saying, well, just stay away from the kid. And that's how they're handling this stuff. And it's that way because of money. They do, as long as the districts do so much well and have low incidence of this and high incidence of that, and they have high test scores no matter if they're passing kids for whatever reason. I'm not saying our district's doing that. Don't read into it. I'm just saying that as long as certain criteria is met that the state puts forward, then we have windfalls. And so again, it all comes back to money. But start researching this stuff. It's coming to a district near you, more than likely, if it hasn't already, and start coming together as a community, talking and finding positive results, because this is nothing but divisive, and it's going to lead to nothing good. So I appreciate the time so far, and we'll catch up with you in a few days. And enjoy the evening.